TIFU by knocking on my girlfriend's door. My GF lives in my apartment complex, and I met her one day in September while I was out walking my dog. We ended up going on a date that same night and pretty much instantly hit it off and started hanging out with each other almost every day. We would spend whole days together on weekends, and we did so many fun things together. I really enjoyed her company and started falling for her. My girlfriend warned me in November that from mid-month to December 15th, she would be unavailable. I thought that meant that I wouldn't be able to see her that often. I didn't know that it meant communication from her would become almost non-existent. She stopped texting me the usual "I miss you" or saying "good night, handsome." It started going longer between texts. After a half week of this, I talked with her and asked if she was okay, and if we were okay. She explained that we were okay, but she was just incredibly busy, and all she really has capacity for is work and sleep, and maybe stopping to eat. But she apologized for making me feel anxious and said she would try. Well, time went on, and it got to be 2 weeks since we had spent any time together. I had gotten to see her a few times, for maybe 5 minutes in passing. Then my texts and calls started going unanswered. She had told me the last time we were able to speak on the phone that if I ended up getting off early enough on the following Saturday that I could come over for a bit and we could hang out. I called her that night, and it rang to voicemail. I walked my dog when I got home, and when I walked by her apartment, I saw that all of her lights were off. So when I got home, I texted that it looked like she passed out, and I hope she got some good sleep. I didn't hear back for 3 full days. It didn't look to me like her car ever moved out of her driveway. I never saw lights on passing by her house. I started to get worried about her because I know she struggles with certain health issues, is super stressed, and hates her job. It seems like she suffers from symptoms of depression. So I texted her just saying I wanted to check in on her, and it makes me feel worried when I don't hear back for this long from her. I still didn't hear anything that day. By the following day, I was extremely worried about her. I couldn't think about anything else. I reached out to her best friend and asked when the last time that she had heard from her was. She told me it was the prior week. I expressed my worry and said I wanted to give her space, but that I was getting worried and I was thinking about going to check on her. Her friend told me that 4 days is plenty of space and that I should go check on her. I went home on my lunch break and I walked over to her house. My anxiety was in my throat. It was still dark in her house from what I could see. Her blinds were all closed. I knocked on the front door. No answer. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I knocked again a bit harder. No answer. I rang the doorbell again. No answer. I knocked hard enough that I felt like she would be able to hear it from the bedroom. No answer. I had my phone out with her text message up, and I start seeing the typing bubble. "I am on a fucking client call, stop knocking." I immediately left. I sent a text message saying sorry, I was just really worried about her. I thought more and added a little later on that I realized I went overboard with the knocking, and I was really sorry. It went another full day, and I didn't hear back. I talked to my father, who said it doesn't seem like she is communicating, treating you very well. I told him I just wanted to talk to her, and I had half a mind to go knock on her door now at night just to talk with her and let her know what is going on in my mind. But I was worried about looking crazy or ruining things further. He asked me how much would change from how things have been going. At least if I did this and I could talk with her, I would have an answer. So I wrote a text telling her I was going to stop by for in 5 minutes to just chat for a bit, and that was really important that we talked. I went over and rang her doorbell. No answer. So I went home and wrote a text telling her how much I liked her and how this whole situation was making me feel. How I was feeling like I was being ignored and being treated less than. How I needed some communication. How a single text every once in a while would go such a long way. I told her this wasn't a "you need to call me tonight or it's over," but I said I needed to hear from her. I woke up the following morning to see she had sent me a long text around 4 a.m., telling me how busy she has been, which I knew. How she has barely had capacity to even get to her desk. That she has been working 14-hour days and just crashing. Telling me that she'd already told me she would be unavailable. She said coming to her door while she was working and banging on it was incredibly uncalled for. She said her car had clearly been moved. She said that me doing that while I knew she would be unavailable and she was at work, she works from home, during work hours is a hard line for her. I didn't know that unavailable meant zero contact or being able to see her at all. But regardless, in one fell swoop, I ended my relationship with someone I cared about deeply. All because I couldn't get a grip on my anxiety and be patient. Dur got worried about my GF after not hearing from her for days after she told me she would be unavailable. Went to her house and knocked hard on her door when she happened to be on a call. Crossed a hard line for her, and now I am 99% sure I don't have a girlfriend anymore. Update. I mentioned at the end of my OP that she had sent me a long text the following morning telling me how much I had fucked up and crossed a hard line. I did respond to that text with apology, saying that I did let my anxiety control me, and that I wanted to work on things, that I was going into therapy to work on my own issues. She didn't explicitly say that we were over, so I asked her for clarification on where we stood if she was done. I said, outside of that, I would not contact her until I heard back from her. As of today, it has been 12 days. She has not responded to me at all. The last 12 days have been horrible for my mental well-being. I decided yesterday to just move on and give myself my own closure. I realized a lot of important things through this experience. I realized that I didn't do anything wrong. Unavailable does not mean you disappear and drop off the earth for days at a time, ignoring the outside world. I did nothing wrong by going to check on her. I did what I did out of love, caring, and worry. I did what I would hope a partner would do for me. No one is too busy to text a single time in 4 days. I realized that I need to take care of myself and assert my own boundaries. I learned some important needs/expectations I have of relationships. I learned about my own codependent and anxious tendencies that I need to work on. I realized there were a lot of red flags about this woman that I was ignoring. In the past 12 days, I have taken up meditation, journaling, daily practice of gratitude. I've gotten into therapy and back into the gym. I have talked with her best friend again, who hasn't heard from her in about as long as I have. The silence isn't personal to just me, which did make me feel a little better at one point. However, now, I am still upset. I am mad at the way I have been treated throughout this whole process. I know this is an extremely busy time for her, and I know she is struggling, but I still have needs, and she decided to be my girlfriend. Needs that she is apparently, for any reason, incapable of meeting. Leaving someone who loves and cares about you in the dark for 12 days, when you live a 3-minute walk from each other, is unkind at best. I still don't know what is going on in her head, and I don't know if I ever will. I would still be open to talking with her and hearing her out. I am extremely unlikely to take her back, though. I deserve better. I think my biggest realization is that I can give myself closure. I can detach and take care of myself and still love her and others around me. I wish I could snap my fingers and be over her, but I know it is going to take a little bit. Thank you for all the assurance, kind words, and those who reached out to support. Dur. She still hasn't talked to me after 12 days. I am moving on. I learned a lot about myself and what I need through this. I wouldn't take her back at this point.